2011 started at the Sydney Tramway Museum at Loftus in the Sutherland Shire. Here, we are celebrating 150 years of tramways in Sydney and 50 years of the closure of tramways in metropolitan Sydney. The day is Sunday, February 27th, 2011. The special guest at the Tramway Museum is the Powerhouse Museum's 805. Our final shot is 1979 heading its way to Sutherland, with loads of chalk around her paint. 1979 was the last tram to be running around on the Sydney metropolitan area in 1961. It is now Sunday, March 5th, 2011, and here we see the Powerhouse Museum's 3265 heading its way to Buxton. Today is the Rail Transport Museum's Vintage Train Day. "3265 was restored by the Powerhouse Museum in 2009 by the same team who dedicatedly restored 3830, a non-streamlined 38 class Pacific locomotive. 3265 is now stored out here at Thelmere for the Powerhouse Museum for future rail tours. Here is rail motor number 18, restored in 2006 by Rail Transport Museum volunteers and TAFE apprentices.
You need a ticket to the museum to get on the rail motor.
The rail motor is taking ticketed passengers to the museum.
To board the rail motor. Just repeating that.
The rail motor is now backing up into the siding to let pass 3526, who took a special Thelmere flight from Campbelltown. As the 35 class loco passed us, 3265 is now pulling into Thelmere Station to drop off its last passengers from the earlier shot we took.
Or a museum. Rail motor, please wait on the opposite side of the platform. The opposite platform, I should say. Please wait on the opposite platform for the rail motor. It's down in a few minutes' time. That will take you up to the Rail Heritage Centre, but you do...
Later in the day, we hopped on board 3265 from Thelmy to Buxton. This will be 3265's last trip for the day, as 2705 will replace the train. Meanwhile, 3526 and 2705 are shunting ready for their trains for the day. 3526 will take the passengers back to Campbelltown. We will catch up with 3526 at Menangle, but first we are here at Kurraja to see 2705 taking its last shuttle trip for the day. The Rail Transport Museum will now get ready for their big event, the Thelmy Festival of Steam. Meanwhile, 3526 is seen taking an empty train back to Thelmy after dropping off passengers at Campbelltown. The 35 class loco will then be later transferred to Sydney later that night, with 3237 waiting there to take the train to Thelmy for the Thelmy Festival of Steam the next day. It's now Sunday, the 6th of March 2011, and here we see 3526 with the Lachlan Valley Railway's 3237, as they'll be double-heading their way to Thelmy for the annual Thelmy Festival of Steam. 3642 was originally planned for this trip, but unfortunately, due to a mechanical error, the 36 class locomotive was not able to run for the day. We're out of the main line now, and the two locomotives are now nearing Picton. That will be the turn-off to Thelmy. We're at Thelmy, and 3237 is now shunting to the back of the train, as 3526 and 3237 will take one train from Thelmy to Picton. After the train departed, 3265 and 2705 double-heading are making their way back into Thelmy Station to take their second load of passengers for the day. Later in the day, we're at the Thelmere Roundhouse, which was built in 2009, and here Lachlan Valley Railway 3237 is seen here having a rest after its long journey from Sydney. Next to him is 3830 from the Powerhouse Museum and 3642 from the New South Wales Rail Transport Museum. Both locomotives are under restoration. Meanwhile, 2705 and 3265 are now making their way to Thelmere on another shuttle trip later in the day. Meanwhile, 3526 is now seen on the Rail Transport Museum's turntable, which was transferred here in August 2009, as the locomotive is now getting ready to take the trip back to Sydney solo. Back at Thelmere Station, we see 2705 and 3265 shunting to the front of the train to take the last shuttle trip for the day. Meanwhile, 4490, one of the Rail Transport Museum's preserved diesels, is shunting the express carriages for 3526's return trip. Meanwhile, 2705 and 3265 are now departing for the final trip for the Thelmere Festival of Steam. As the last shuttle trip had gone and 4490 shunted the express carriages and be assisting the train to Sydney, 3526 now departs Thelmere. Instead of getting off at Sydney, after massive delays at East Hills due to signal failures, 3526 now departs Padstow Station and will be making its way back to Sydney.